Number 10. String Fruit. It is used by Donquixote Doflamingo. Doflamingo's fruit doesn't announce itself the way a magma fist or a lightning bolt does.
Yasakane sacred juice.
That's part of what makes it so dangerous. The Ito no Mi gives him near-invisible razor wire that cuts through stone and steel, strings he can anchor to clouds to move through the air, and the ability to hook directly into a person's body and puppeteer them against their will. He can also stitch his own wounds shut mid-fight, which means taking him down isn't just about landing hits.
Now that's more like it.
When his awakening kicks in, the whole city becomes his weapon. He converts non-living matter into strings on a massive scale, something almost no one outside a prison environment had ever pulled off at that point. It was an early signal that Doflamingo was operating on a different level than most of his peers. He was a fallen world noble, a warlord, an underworld kingpin, and the man who ruled Dressrosa through fear and manipulation. The fruit matched him perfectly. Not the loudest power in the world, but in his hands, one of the most suffocating. Law and Doflamingo both prove that a fruit doesn't need to level mountains to sit among the most dangerous. The right user with the right application can take a power that sounds manageable on paper and make it genuinely hard to counter. Number 9. Light Fruit. It is used by Borsalino Kizaru. Kizaru doesn't look like the most dangerous man in the room. That's the point. The Pika no Mi turns him into light. He moves at light speed, fires laser beams that punch through almost anything, and throws kicks with the force of a beam hitting at full velocity. Most opponents don't even register the attack before it lands. Without advanced hockey, there's no realistic way to react in time. What makes it sit this high isn't complexity. It's the opposite. Pure speed, pure offense, no setup required. Kizaru doesn't need creativity because the fruit itself removes the window for counterplay. By the time you've read his movement, you're already hit. He carries it all with a slow, almost bored energy that makes it worse.
Mosh mosh.
Nothing about him suggests urgency, and he doesn't need it. An admiral who moves at the speed of light and can't be touched without top-tier hockey is exactly as dangerous as that sounds. Number 8. Bird Fruit, Phoenix. It is used by Marco the Phoenix. Marco doesn't win fights by hitting harder than everyone else. He wins by not going down. The Tori no Mi model. Phoenix wraps him in blue flames that rebuild his body from nearly any wound. Slashes, blunt force, attacks that would finish most fighters at his level, he shrugs them off and keeps moving. He can extend that healing to allies, which made him one of the most valuable assets at Marineford. A battle where keeping people alive was just as important as dealing damage. He can fly, shift into hybrid forms, and absorb punishment in a way that wears opponents down mentally as much as physically. There's something demoralizing about landing a clean hit and watching it mean nothing. As Whitebeard's right hand and 1st Division commander,
If you want to reach him, you gotta go through me first.
Marco carried real weight in the crew's hierarchy. The fruit matched that role, not a weapon built for spectacle, but one built for endurance, support, and staying in the fight longer than anyone expects. Number 7. Soul Fruit. It is used by Charlotte Linlin Big Mom. Big Mom doesn't just fight, she harvests.
They can't pay in sweets, they pay with their lives.
The Soru no Mi lets her pull lifespan directly out of people who fear her, shaving years off their lives and pocketing them as fuel. She pours that stolen time into objects, animals, fire, and weather, bringing them to life as homies, loyal servants built from the world around her. Prometheus, Zeus, Napoleon, her son, her storm cloud, her sword, all of them running on lifespan she took from someone else. That's how she built Totoland. Not just ruled it, built it. An entire kingdom animated by her fruit and stocked with an army she grew from her surroundings. The scope of it sits in a different category from most fruits on this list. On top of that, she's a Yonko in the most physical sense. Monstrous durability, overwhelming strength, and hunger cravings that send her into rampages that level everything nearby. The fruit doesn't need to carry her. It just adds a layer of control over life itself to someone who was already one of the most dangerous people in the world. Number 6. Magma-Magma Fruit. It is used by Sakazuki Akainu. Akainu doesn't have the most creative fruit on this list. He doesn't need one.
Great eruption!
He didn't just crush that block of ice, he evaporated it! Right into thin air!
The Magma-Magma no Mi is magma, and magma sits above fire in the elemental hierarchy. hotter, denser, and capable of burning through flame itself. That distinction had consequences at Marineford. When Ace stepped in front of Akainu's attack to shield Luffy, the magma punched straight through his fire body and killed him. A Logia user defeated by another Logia, because the matchup was never equal to begin with. His magma melts through ice, stone, and steel. He chased Whitebeard's entire crew across the battlefield without slowing down, absorbing everything thrown at him and kept pushing forward. Akainu operates on absolute justice, a philosophy with no room for mercy or hesitation.
Any man who turns tail and runs doesn't deserve to call himself a Marine. The most he could be called is a waste of life.
And his power reflects that. No tricks, no conditions, just heat and pressure until there's nothing left. He's now Fleet Admiral, the highest authority in the Marines. The fruit that killed Ace is now attached to the man running the most powerful military organization in the world. Number 5. Fish Fruit, Azure Dragon. It is used by Kaido of the Beasts. Kaido wasn't just hard to beat, he was hard to hurt. The Uo no Mi model, Seiryu turns him into a massive serpentine Azure Dragon, and the transformation isn't subtle. He gains flight, a frame that dwarfs most structures, and a bolo breath heat blast that scorches everything in its path. His signature move, summoning flame clouds, lets him lift entire land masses off the ground. During the war at Wano, he picked up the whole island of Onigashima and moved it through the sky. That's not a combat ability, that's geography. What pushes him this high is the combination. The fruit sits on top of a baseline that already made him nearly unkillable. Every capture failed. Every execution failed. Torture didn't work. He walked into battles looking for someone who could actually hurt him and kept walking away disappointed.
Well, looks like I have no choice.
Mastery of all 3 advanced hockey types on top of a mythical zone frame meant most opponents ran out of options before they ran out of time. Luffy's gear 5 finally matched him, but it took one of the most demanded power-ups in the series to do it. That says more about Kaido than any individual ability does. Number 4. Op Fruit. It is used by Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. Law doesn't overpower people, he dismantles them.
My heart.
The Ope no Mi gives him a spherical territory called a room, and inside it he controls space itself. He slices people apart without killing them, swaps bodies, detaches and remotely operates limbs, and performs surgeries in the middle of a fight. None of it requires brute force. It requires precision, and Law has that in excess. The fruit's most dangerous feature has nothing to do with combat. The perennial youth operation can grant someone eternal life at the cost of the user dying to perform it. That single ability is why Doflamingo spent years trying to control Law, and why the fruit once sold for 5 billion berries. A power that can make someone immortal is worth more to the right person than any weapon.
Damn, it was just starting to get good.
His awakening extends room properties to the environment, turning the battlefield itself into his operating table for finishing moves. The cost is stamina, and big techniques drain him fast, which is the one real ceiling on an otherwise open-ended power. Law survived a genocide as a child and was pulled back from death by Corazon, Doflamingo's own brother. He became a surgeon,
You can take my word for it, because I'm a doctor.
a captain, and one of Luffy's most reliable allies. The fruit sits in a category of its own because the right mind behind it can do things raw power simply cannot. Number 3. Gum Fruit. It is used by Monkey D. Luffy. For most of the series, Luffy's fruit looked like the weakest on this list. Rubber. A body that stretches. No elemental transformation, no spatial control, no reality warping. Just a paramecia that made him bouncy and gave him creative ways to punch harder. That was the point. The world government spent 800 years hunting this fruit and renamed it to make sure nobody figured out what it actually was. It was never the Gomu no Mi. It was the Hito no Mi model. Nika, a mythical Zoan carrying the spirit of the sun god, a legendary figure tied to liberation and laughter. When Gear 5 awakens, the transformation announces itself. White hair, white clothes, a joyful aura, and physics that stop making sense. Luffy doesn't just stretch anymore. He stretches the world. The ground becomes rubber. He grips lightning barehanded. He inflates to a size that dwarfs buildings and applies cartoon logic to enemies and environment alike. The fruit fights however his imagination wants it to, which means the ceiling is wherever his creativity stops. The cost is severe stamina drain, and Gear 5 burns through him fast.
That burns!
But his control keeps growing, and the fruit is tied to the series' deepest unresolved mysteries about the Void Century and what the world government has been hiding for 8 centuries. The most dangerous power in One Piece spent decades disguised as the most ordinary one on the sea. Number 2. Dark Fruit. It is used by Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard. Blackbeard waited 15 years for this fruit, and the fruit alone explains why he was willing to wait that long.
What are we waiting for? Nothing! Let's go!
The Yami Yami no Mi is a Logia, but it refuses to play by Logia rules. Every other Logia user turns intangible to dodge attacks. Blackbeard's darkness does the opposite. It pulls everything toward it, matter, attacks, entire bodies, with a gravitational force that doesn't let go. The trade-off is real. Darkness absorbs pain along with everything else, so Blackbeard takes more damage than a normal person would in the same fight. None of that is the scary part. The scary part is what happens when he grabs another Devil Fruit user. Physical contact nullifies their ability completely. A Logia who's untouchable against anyone else suddenly becomes a person Blackbeard can hit like a normal human being. It's not a counter to one type of fruit, it's a counter to the entire system Devil Fruits run on. He is also the only known person to survive eating a second fruit. Doing that is supposed to kill you outright. Nobody, including the Marines who've studied Devil Fruits for decades, has explained how he's still alive. Blackbeard spent years on Whitebeard's crew doing nothing.
You were never fit to be in my crew!
Waiting for one specific fruit to surface. Now he's a Yonko, and the wait looks less patient and more like the longest con in the series. Number 1. Tremor-Tremor fruit. It were used by Edward Newgate, Whitebeard, to Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard. Whitebeard didn't need to be young or healthy to be the strongest man in the world. He just needed the Gura Gura no Mi. The fruit is a paramecia, but nobody talks about it like one. It's described outright as having the power to destroy the world, and at Marineford he came close to proving that wasn't an exaggeration. He doesn't just generate earthquakes, he cracks the air itself, treating reality like glass, then releases the shockwave outward. That force travels through ground, sea, and atmosphere without losing strength along the way. He tilted entire islands. He generated tsunamis. He nearly capsized the whole of Marine headquarters.
He's too strong! HQ's done for!
A structure built to withstand exactly this kind of attack. And he did it elderly, sick, and hooked to medical equipment between swings. A version of Whitebeard at full health is almost too dangerous to picture. What happened after he died might be the strangest moment in the entire series.
I've reached the end of my voyage.
Blackbeard walked up to his corpse, covered it with a cloth, and somehow pulled the fruit's power into himself. No one has ever explained how a devil fruit can be stolen from a dead body. It's the only known case of it happening, and it's still treated as one of the series' deepest unsolved mysteries. A dying old man nearly sank a fortress with his bare hands.